But yep, we're getting a great view right now of Artemiev there in that center seat, and just continuing to stand by for Ricky Arnold to make his way out and get that full crew out in their chairs, and then one step closer to eventually coming home.
And then we're probably just a moment or two away from Arnold being extracted from the vehicle.
And Rob, if you could remind the viewers what the seating configuration was inside that Soyuz spacecraft during the descent.
Yeah, the seating configuration was Artemiev, which is always the case of the Russian Soyuz commander in the center seat. He was flanked to his left by board engineer number 1, Drew Feustel, the Expedition 56 commander who handed over command of the space station less than 24 hours ago to Alexander Gerst of the European Space Agency. And on Artemiev's right was Ricky Arnold, board engineer number 2, same configuration as was the case back in late March when the trio launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. I'm just continuously struck down. And if I'm repetitive, so be it, but I'm just struck by how amazing the pinpoint touchdown, almost to the second, calculated by RSC Energia and the Math Modeling Center, the ballistics folks who calculate the descent of the Soyuz, taking into account atmospheric and meteorological conditions, making updates all the way around, and how precise the Soyuz gently came to Earth under its large orange and white parachute that is lying supine not far from here. The very, very slight breeze that has now developed here on the steppe of Kazakhstan, accentuating what a perfect day this is, and Ricky Arnold now out of the Soyuz MS-08, all 3 crew members now out of their spacecraft.
And Ricky just now coming into view for all of our viewers. We can see him getting lowered down in the chair. The third and final crew member out of that Soyuz spacecraft. A big smile already coming from Ricky, again, who just wrapped up his second space flight, having previously flown on shuttle mission STS-119. Ricky, again, also very involved, as Rob was as well, in that year of education on station.
Dan, you may be, I don't know if you're getting a clear view of Drew Feustel, but he's holding up the sign that he has been famous for during his time on orbit, basically going back to Hawaiian tradition. The 3 crew members looking very hale and hearty. In a circumference all around us here are flags that were planted within seconds of touchdown, not just the flag of the city of Baikonur, but Roscosmos, Russia, RSC Energia, and last but not least, the Search and Recovery Forces, the civilian agency called Rosaviatsa.
And we're getting a great shot right now of Drew Feustel, the Expedition 56 commander, just next to him. The NASA flight surgeon, Joe Schmidt. Now back over to Ricky Arnold. As you said, all the crew members looking hale and hearty, getting big smiles. Great to see them back on Earth after almost 200 days. And so the specialists working to remove that comm cap from Oleg Artemiev. Again, the 3 crew members are going to be in these chairs. Rob, can you see if the medical tent has already been set up?
Ricky Arnold just acknowledged our presence here at the landing site with a big smile. Again, undergoing a very, very preliminary and routine medical test, as are the other two crew members, Oleg Artemyev and Drew Feustel. But it's just remarkable how quickly this whole procedure unfolds at the landing site, and how quickly the crew members are attended to by this phalanx of support personnel arriving one by one in the quick fashion. Once the helicopters
pull out,
saw that the Soyuz was on the ground, we landed very quickly, as did all of the other personnel, and there's a huge throng on hand here.
Well, I think as we typically see in the nicer weather, gets a little bit more of a leisurely pace once they're on the ground, not worried about fighting the elements. But as you said, it's actually pretty close to sunset there, so I imagine they'll be moving the crew soon to the medical tent. Have you been able to spot if that's already been set up near the landing site?
Yeah, Dan, they're not going to waste a lot of time here before they get the crew in the medical tent for their field testing. Clearly, we'll be flying back to Karaganda in darkness, but the whole idea here is to try to get everybody back into Karaganda and to have them split up with the two NASA crew members boarding a NASA Gulfstream jet that flew in from Ellington Field in Houston, and then to have Oleg Artemyev fly on the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center aircraft back to Chkalovsky Airfield just outside of Star City, Russia, Spain base. We'll be on that aircraft heading back to the outskirts of Moscow just a few hours from now. Oh, beautiful. It's beautiful. Ricky, how was the ride down?
So did not. 119, 72.
Quite a way to wrap up your education, eh? Ricky Arnold in great spirits, broad smile, describing, you probably couldn't pick it up, but describing the ride down, how while they were still in VHF voice communication with Alex Gerst on board the International Space Station, he was providing geographic location information for the crew on board the Soyuz as they passed beyond one landmark to another during their descent back to Earth, following the deorbit burn that occurred some hour and 40 minutes ago. They're now raising Oleg Artemyev up, so the process of bringing the crew into the nearby medical tent is about to get underway here now.
Yep, we see Artemyev on the move.
Hey, was he just on there?
yeah, he's been on there.
Okay.
Also
well,
catching our
I'm
first
trying to
setting of
get to
NASA
it
photographer
right
Bill.
I'm gonna send you a screenshot of the channel.
now. Okay, thanks.
Bye.
I'll consider doing it now. Bye.
Bye.
It looks like they brought Artemyev over to the capsule first. I think he's signing it with some chalk.
Signing his name to the capsule, Dan. This has become somewhat of a tradition, assuming the crew members are feeling up to it, for the Soyuz commander to sign his capsule. Looking into the sun here, the inflatable medical tent is up, ready to accept these three crew members for more comprehensive medical tests that will take about an hour or so before the crew members are loaded into their respective helicopters for the ride back to Karaganda. It's about a 2-hour, 15-minute helicopter flight. Applause from the crowd here as Artemiev is being carried to the medical tent.
And so Artemiev being carried now. He actually wrote Spasiba in Cyrillic, the Russian word for thanks, and then signed his name. But yeah, Rob, we're getting the camera following Artemiev as he's carried, and we're really getting a good look now at just the volume of people that are there at the landing zone today.
And here comes Ricky Arnold, right behind Feustel, heading to the medical tent. Everything proceeding very quickly and very smoothly here at the landing site, Dan. One other note as you continue to watch this, Dan, I hope you're still getting video. Lined up one after the other right alongside the medical tent are all-terrain vehicles. This is very customary for every Soyuz landing. These all-terrain vehicles will be in play to bring each of the 3 crew members. Each crew member has their own ATV that will bring them to their respective helicopters so that they can nestle in and get comfortable for the 2-hour-plus ride back to Karaganda.
Copy that, Rob. And we just transferred to some more video of the capsule. So please do let us know once the crew is in that medical tent for their checkouts. And we just got back, and we can see Drew Feustel making his way in, and then Ricky Arnold bringing up the rear there right behind him.
Right, and as we speak, they are now inside the medical tent where they'll get out of their Russian so-called launch and entry suits into more comfortable clothing, and as we mentioned, undergo the first of a battery of routine post-landing medical tests so that valuable data can be collected, including that field testing that is ongoing to very about the body's reaction to long duration exposure to weightlessness.
All right, well, with the crew now in the medical tent, Rob, I do want to thank you for calling in and giving us that play-by-play, especially as we were waiting to get that video. Greatly appreciated as always, and I know your time is not done over there in Kazakhstan, so safe travels back to Moscow and then down to Baikonur for launch next week, and we'll be talking to you very soon.
Okay, Dan, thanks for hanging in with us here as we describe the scene. Again, let me just repeat, just a pinpoint touchdown for the Soyuz MS-08, wrapping up its multi-million-mile mission. All 3 crew members appearing in very good shape as they begin the process of undergoing medical exams. That is the precursor to their flight and our flight, actually, back to Karaganda as the post-landing operations continue. So we'll sign off here from the southern steppe of Kazakhstan. Now back to you, Dan, at Mission Control in Houston.